Good evening, everybody. We are back. Happy Monday. Hope you guys are having a good one. I am running as best I can. A lot going on today. The podcast was really interesting. That should drop here in just a couple of minutes. You guys can always check that out. Glad to see so many friendly faces and a lot of new faces here as well. So, welcome. Let's see. Hope you all can hear me. If not, let me know. If you're having any kind of problems, once again, give Aaron Morrow a hand, our resident mod now. He will check out the chat and we will go from there. The pod's really interesting today because while I was recording it with Matt Derrick from Chiefs Digest is when the Suggs news actually broke. So I had already planned to really talk about the Broncos game and what it meant and how well Mahomes and the offense played and all that, but I think we should just probably jump right to Suggs. Looks like you guys are already talking about it, so let's get right to it, and I'll give you my basic concept. And here's my gut reaction, and part of this was on earlier as well. By the way, tonight is a brown sour from New Belgium and True. It's a collaboration, so try that if you can get that where you are. And if you want beer reviews, I think I did stick it in the description tonight, so you can jump over to the beer podcast if you have interest in that. Cheers to you guys. Now that said, Suggs is really interesting. Whole career until this season spent in Detroit. I'm sorry, in Baltimore. Even came out supposedly yesterday and was telling people that, hey, I'm only going to report if it's Baltimore that claims me. Well, Baltimore didn't even put in a claim for him. What came out later today, Oregon Chief, remind me about that because I have an interesting story for you guys. Baltimore didn't even claim him. There were 4 teams, Seahawks, Niners, Saints, and the Chiefs were all teams that claimed him. All playoff teams, all teams that value what he can bring. Despite his first season in Arizona didn't go as it was planned. He wasn't the impactful force that they had hoped. And quite frankly, I think they played him too much. The guy's 37 years old. It's a significant age to be trying to still play out there, 45, 50, sometimes closer to 60 snaps a game. That's quite a bit. He is a monster, and he has the most sacks active in the league at 138. So, I mean, it's legit. But you gotta, the thing that Andy's been doing with Shady, pacing him, giving him, controlled snap counts. That's what you got to do with a guy that age on the defensive side too. That's perfectly legitimate. So if he does actually come in, I certainly expect it to be much the same treatment as we've seen for McCoy going forward. Limit what the totals are, go through and give him enough and give him situational snaps so that he can have the biggest impact. Now, he's got 33 pressures on the year, which is nothing to sneeze at. It puts him up there with the guys that are getting the most pressures on this team. So it's definitely something. It's not just to keep him away from Baltimore or in this case, the Niners or the Saints or the Seahawks. I do find it interesting. There's 3 NFC teams that went after and were putting in claims. So good, David. I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know. And by the way, folks, if you want to support the channel, Zachary just did. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate that. Zachary Maurer. I'll get your question here in a minute, bud. The little button down the bottom's got a little dollar sign on it. You can leave a question. You can leave a donation. It's super chat or super stickers. They both work the same. You can buy t-shirts down here. That always helps the channel. In fact, I just bought some new gear. I'll probably debut it for you guys in a little side video because I don't know how much of you care about the production or how I film all this and that kind of tools that I use. If you do, let me know in the comments. But anyway, that's all available tonight, so feel free. And Zach, I will answer your question here in just a minute. Okay, it's not a question. Okay, ask a question too, Zach, and I'll get that too. He says, my man Tyreek Hill with the Bo Jackson. And now I just lost you in the scroll because that's the way it happens. Because the screen needs to be bigger. Bane of my existence. He's going all the way to the big one, Chiefs Nation, baby. Okay, I like that, Zachary. Thanks for the donation. And you got a good point. He really put up a lot of good numbers. We will get to the offense here later in the show. But the big deal is that Suggs doesn't have to be what he was in Baltimore. A lot of folks are looking at kind of an A or B. Can he be the force that he was in years past when he played with Ray, when he played with the height of that, when he played for Rex Ryan? Let's not forget that either. So I am not worried about that. I am more worried about, can he get it done when he is given the opportunity? I'm perfectly fine. And I think you guys are probably going to agree with me, but let me know if you don't. I feel like Tano Passanio is just fine as a starter to lock it down, to play the run. I think Tano's come a long way. I did not expect to say that this season, but I do feel that way. And I think that gives you an opportunity to play him on a lot of downs and let Suggs come in sporadically. Key situations, quite frankly, with Tano being on the field as well, knock him in to tackle and let them all rush the passer. I'm very into that. If Frank has to miss any time, it's also a situation where he could be a situational pass rusher on the other side and fill in for Frank if need be. And that's really important too. So that's the big thing. And you didn't let the Baltimore Ravens get better. Now the Ravens fans are going to tell you that's the only reason the Chiefs did it. Well, that's not true. Alex Okafor went on IR today. He tore his pec, and that's a serious injury. So you're already down him. You're already down Speaks. You're already down Agba. You've lost a lot of guys that can rush from that edge. So that's what it is. I think at the end of the day, that's what it's going to be in terms of him being able to function. Now, the question is, does he report? I don't know. I know a lot of you guys have been looking forward to that. I just don't know. We're going to have to play it by ear. I know there's reports here and there, but I don't know of anybody who actually knows anything. So we're going to play it by ear until we know something. I'm going to start hitting your questions now so I don't fall too far behind. Christopher Skidmore, do we take a middle linebacker in the first round of the draft this year? No, you don't. You take a wide receiver or a cornerback because they're the best two classes. There's going to be plenty of them available at the 32nd pick, even the 30th pick, whereas middle linebackers are not as good a class as they were last year. I don't think you're going to find many that are worth a first-round pick, and if you do, they're going to be gone. So I think you come back to that maybe in the third or fourth, and you find somebody you can develop. Good question, Christopher. Aaron, you are on top of it. Nathan Roth, thought you were going to do a show with Brandon Perna for the Broncos game. That was a consortium where we were trying to get collaborations going. That was the original schedule. It didn't work out, and that group kind of put everything on hold until next season. So hopefully we'll get that done. We can certainly try to do that. I am working on something as well. I don't know if it's going to happen until the playoffs or not. There's a site called Hot Mic. It's also an application you put on your phone. It will sync to the broadcast, and I'll call the game for you. So you don't have to listen to Booger. You don't have to listen to Dan Fouts. I'm going to start calling games. I just don't know when the schedule is going to hit. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks, Nathan, though. I appreciate it. Jerry Platt, do you know anything about Hill getting hurt? I know he was a little banged up. I haven't seen anything about an injury report. I talked to Matt Derrick today. We didn't have any information about anything on Hill being hurt per se. I'm sure he's battling a couple of things, but that's everybody at this point in the season. Chris Anderson, what's the status of Eric Berry? He is a maid in waiting, basically. I don't think Eric's going to play again. He didn't feel good when he was here, when he had all the medical attention and he could keep training with the medical staff. And I don't see him just healing up miraculously and training on his own and being back. He's had tryouts with multiple teams, including the Cowboys, who I think were fairly in need of safety play, and they didn't sign him. So I think that's a good indication that Eric Berry is probably done for his career. Quite frankly, I like that. I don't want to see him play in another uniform. But I can't blame him for trying to make a living either. If he is healthy, then more power to him, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Steve Ellers, if Okafor doesn't get injured, do you believe the Chiefs put in a waiver for Jenkins rather than Suggs? I don't think so. That's a good question, but I don't think Jenkins has the potential to live up to the level that Suggs does. And I think, quite frankly, I think the Chiefs are happier with their secondary than we are. So I think they were going to ride with them anyway. That's just my impression. Let's see. Oregon Chiefs fan. Can you tell all the D doubters to please stop with the negative Nancy karma about the D? They are solid. They still have some hits and misses. I still don't want to see the Tennessee Titans come in there and run it down their throats. That can get messy, but they are better than they were, and I think that's an improvement that we can count on and hopefully see it continue. David states, do you think, thanks for the compliment, appreciate it. Do you think that this team is becoming an all-around solid team? And how about our secondary? Yeah, I do believe they're becoming a very solid team. The offense is obviously capable of exploding. I'm really impressed with what they did yesterday in the snow. I didn't expect that kind of output. And I think that says a lot about them. I think the defense is doing exactly what we talked about all offseason. And even the preseason during camp. They're getting to the point where they're a middle-tier defense, and that's good enough to win a Super Bowl. And it's very much good enough to set the floor, the foundation for what the defense can become in the next couple of years as the system that Spags runs becomes more entrenched. I think that's a really positive sign as well. Let's see, MD Van, the Saints, yes, they put in a claim for him as well. So had that come through, they would have gotten both of those players, Van. That's a good point. Carliners, how are you? What was the over-under number of Snow Angels? I hadn't said it. They did a lot, though, I'll tell you that. Okay, how serious... Pono, Kwai, aloha. How serious is Tyreek's injury? I don't know anything specific. I know he had a couple of nagging things, the hamstring a little bit, whatever. I don't know of anything specific about an injury. I'll have to find that out tomorrow. I haven't gotten a press release on it yet, so when I know, I'll update you guys. Michael Willis, do the Chiefs need a running back to make a true run in the playoffs? I don't think so. I think they've got enough spark right now by committee that they can get through it, especially if they get Damian back. And I expect that they will. The rotation will be enough that gives you the opportunity. And they have Elijah McGuire too, and he might have something too. It gives you enough spark that you can kind of run with whoever's hot. And I think that's a good place to be. I'm not too worried about the running back position. I don't feel it's much of a downgrade from Kareem Hunt, to tell you the truth. In the passing game, yes, but not in the running game. I just don't think that it was that special with the way he ran between the tackles. And I think these guys are perfectly capable of running outside the tackles very well. It's the straight ahead downhill stuff that they're not that great at. I think they're going to miss Darryl down the stretch, but I think they can fill in. They can do the things that Andy wants to do. And so I don't think it's going to be a big detractor. Good question, Michael. Abdullah Al-Asadi, I hope I said that right. Running back in the draft, yes, definitely. I don't think it'll be until day 3, but they'll definitely pick up a running back. Okay, got a couple of those. Okay, Dylan Kruckman, thanks for your donation. Appreciate that. Can the defense really hold up against Baltimore? Yes, they really can. And not just because they beat them early in their season, but that is part of it. They are familiar with how they play. They are familiar with the personnel and how to beat individuals, and that comes into play. They have to play more disciplined. They did get run on by Ingram just as much as Lamar. And Alex Okafor, remember, had a really where he got juked real badly. That's going to happen again. You're never going to stop Lamar Jackson completely. But they are an athletic team with a lot of speed on defense, and that's what you have to have against this particular Baltimore offense. Is it going to be more of a shootout than it was last time? I think so. I think there will be more points scored. But I don't worry about them being able to keep up. I think it's really about gameplay and maybe who ends up with the ball last. Good question, Dylan. 7-11, is Tyrann Defensive Player of the Year candidate? For this team, yeah. For the league, no. He hasn't put up enough numbers yet. And honestly, I don't know if there's enough time left in the season. But for this team, he definitely is. Jerry Cole, thanks for your donation. I know you'll ask questions. I'll get you. Brian Gooch, same thing for you. Thanks for your donation. More trust in Darwin and the ability of the defense. I don't blame you. I thought, and I said it yesterday, I felt like Darwin played his best game yesterday. And I do feel like at his size and his ability to kind of duck and curve and turn his shoulders, I think he may be the guy that gets the best yardage inside the tackles. So I'm all for feeding him a little bit in there. If you're not going to put pressure on him to pass block on third down, I'm fine with that. So I think you should have some confidence in him. Myron Enos, what corners in the draft next year do you like? Bryce Hall's a good one. I won't argue with that. I still like Fulton, and quite frankly, I like Fulton at the spot that he's going to go. It looks like he's going to be late first rounder, maybe a second rounder now, much like Byron Murphy was last year. So I'm all in on Christian Fulton from LSU. I think he'll fit in with the other LSU guys on this roster, particularly Tyrann Mathieu, and I like his skill set. They definitely need two corners in this draft, in my opinion, though. John Coy, Darwin Thompson running harder than McCoy. That's true. Average almost 5 yards against Denver. That's a very good point. I don't see a question in there, so let me know if I got that wrong. But I agree with you. And I think particularly downhill between the tackles, I think he's the guy that can get it done. And I want to see Shady outside more. And I think that's honestly where Damian runs best, is outside the tackles as well. Brian Colvin, what do you think we grab in the draft? I think we need to go O-line, I'm guessing that means, and CB. And you're absolutely right. I think the O-line will be third round or after. I don't think this crop of interior linemen in particular are really good. The only asterisk that I'll say is they might grab a first or second round offensive line player if it's a tackle, because their tackles are great, but they're getting older. And I think you have to have an heir apparent there. I like Rankin a lot, but I like him better at guard. Let's see. Who's next? Gary Holland, how are you? Ryan, do you think that the RBs can get better for the Chiefs or not? Yeah, I mean, some of it can get better. I think it's about running hard, and I think it's all been Andy's saving everybody for the postseason. So I feel like when you get to the postseason, we might see them run a lot harder, to tell you the truth. Because it's kind of, there is no tomorrow at that point. So I do feel like that will improve. That's a good point, Gary. Dr. Sanitary, welcome back. What all does Suggs bring to the table in your opinion? He's still solid against the run, and he can get after the quarterback. He's not as explosive as he once was. He still rushes with power, but he can collapse that edge if you don't overtax him. If you rest him well, especially during the week, I feel like he can still contribute. And I think, I don't know, 30 snaps a game maybe. That's about where I'd go. Because if you go less than that, if you go down to like 20 snaps a game, it's not quite enough to get in a rhythm. So I still feel like he needs a little bit more volume than that. But that's just my opinion. Good question. Michael Uden. No, I am not better than Terez. Terez knows more than I do. We know some different things, but Terez studies his stuff. He knows the game inside and out. He is a quality analyst, not just a good writer. How much will Suggs help because of the experience playing with Lamar Jackson and his recent game with the Cards against him, or hinder our playoff chances because of the possible attitude? I don't think the attitude will hinder the Chiefs in the playoffs at all. If anything, his almost bordering on salacious arrogance is a good thing. I think that pushes his teammates. I think that installs more confidence in each other and themselves as a team. I don't think that's an issue at all, especially when you're not talking about having to build a franchise around him. You're not going to have to deal with his attitude forever. This is a year or two at the very most. So I say run with that part. And I don't know how much he can help with Lamar in general, because Lamar's game is on film. There's not a whole lot hidden there. His athleticism is stark and there to be seen. So, I mean, he might give you an idea or two just having to practice against him. But for the most part, the Chiefs have won both their matchups against Lamar Jackson. They understand what kind of runner he is. Maybe Suggs has an idea or two. I'm not so sure because I think it's very plain to see what Lamar Jackson is. But that's just me. Good question, Michael. Finn, how are you? Can you talk about the Honey Badger taking on wide receivers? Here's the thing. He's quick. He plays position well. He's good at reaching in. You saw Cortland Sutton beat him and get that ball in his hand, and he wiped it away. He's good at playing the ball even after the catch, but he's good at getting his arms in. He's a shorter guy. He's 5'9.5" or whatever. But arm length for that size, I think he's pretty advanced, and I think that helps him. I think he uses that well. It's the power stuff. It's the bump and run. he's going to get slanted by bigger receivers. That's just the way it is. It's going to happen with tight ends too, but he covers tight ends pretty dang well. And it's again, he plays to his strengths. He moves around tight ends. He comes in from the sides when he has to, and he doesn't let himself get put in that position to just run up and get beaten up on. So he knows he needs to play bigger wide receivers and tight ends. Now the speedy guys, he's got good lateral quickness, but some of the really speedy guys, he did a good job on Edelman, but Edelman got away from him a couple times too, just because guys that have superior short area quickness are going to be able to do that. But he's got as good a short area quickness as the Chiefs have in their secondary. So there's no reason for him not to be playing in there on the slot receiver. I don't have any problem with that. And I think that's where this defense is drifting towards, especially with Fuller moving back and starting to play more safety. Fuller put in, I think it was 16 snaps at safety, either up in a strong safety spot or deep. And I think that's the way this is drifting. It allows another safety role, but a guy with cornerback skills to play and let Tyrann go up close to the line of scrimmage and take a guy man on man. And I think that helps. Tyrann's better man on man, even as a slot corner, than I think Fuller is at this point. So I think that helps everybody. Let's see. Oregon Chiefs fan. Oh, this is a good time. I'll go back to that story. So my wife and I have been together going on, 18 years. The year we got together, we made a bet. Chiefs versus Broncos. Whoever wins gets to make the other one wear their colors in public once a week until their team wins. So we're on a 9-game win streak right now, and my wife wears Chiefs gear in public to the grocery store, wherever she goes, once a week, like clockwork. And I got to tell you, she won't tell her family, but she's a Mahomes fan. So it's working out for us. I think we're going to be okay. Now to your question. With Okafor out, do you see Spags dialing up more blitz packages? I think it can be. We're going to have to see if Suggs reports, and if he does, you can probably play base a little bit more. I also think that you're going to see more again of Chris Jones going out to the other end and letting Saunders rush the passer, maybe even Pennell some. But, man, you saw Saunders and Noddy play a nice interior pair this last week in both the pass rush and against the run. So I don't think they're afraid of doing that either. Good question. Scott Meza, can Suggs, Ragland, and Wilson help stop the run with K-Pass playing Okafor's spot? They can, but Okafor drops well. He's more of a linebacker than a defensive end in terms of his ability to play backwards, and Tano doesn't have that. Tano should not be playing in space. It was the hardest transition for him coming out of college, and I don't think he's there yet. Tano needs to play forward and attack the passer. So that's going to be a little bit of a question mark about who you can get to do that. Good question, Scott. Nathan Roth, what do you think of Damone Harris? I haven't reviewed all of his snaps on purpose, but he stood out to me a couple times this week. I like that he has some speed rush, which most of the other guys do not. Certainly now, without Okafor, he was the fastest in general. I like Frank playing lighter, though. I know he's sick, and I'm sorry, Frank, but dropping 15 pounds makes Frank looks more explosive, and I think that's a positive as well. I think Harris is going to continue to rep. He played 41 snaps this last week, and I think that's a good thing. That's quality experience for him that they can continue to put in and let him play a little bit. He's only going to get more pointers from Clark and now from Suggs if Suggs comes in. So we'll see. Oregon, I knew what you meant. Let's see. Michael Uden, TMZ reports Chiefs Patrick Mahomes, Kelce, Ragland at a nightclub after beating Broncos. Is the cause for concern lack of focus, arrogance seeping in? I don't think it's a big deal. Guys going out to celebrate a win, I don't think is a problem. If they're doing it during the week when you're supposed to be practicing, then it's an issue. But that night to celebrate a win, I don't think that's a problem. And honestly, Reggie Ragland is a serious dude. He takes this game seriously. So does Patrick Mahomes. So does Travis Kelce. Travis, if anyone's more of a party guy than either of the other two. So I'm sure he was like, let's go have a good time. Not a big deal. I would not be worried about that unless it becomes a pattern or, like I said, if they start doing it during the week. So not a worry. William Kriebel, thanks for your donation. I appreciate it. Come back and ask a question, although you may have already because I'm behind in the scroll here. Cole Keeler, I think that our current defensive situation, how well we've done since Mexico City game, is just as good as Baltimore's, if not better. What do you think? I agree with you. I think that the defense, I mean, what have they given up? Averaging 9 points a game in the last 4 games? Now, that has some to do with your opponents, but one of them was the Patriots. So, I mean, you can't really point it out that you were playing Nancy's or anything. So it is what it is. Let's see. Who's next? Oh, Scott Mesa still waiting for koozies. Yeah, I am too. They couldn't get the logo right. I tried 2 different companies, and they just wouldn't do it right. So I'll have to come up with something else. I don't know. Maybe Yetis, or I don't know what to do. That'll be an off-season thing, though. I'm still waiting on the graphics back on the new T-shirts from the designers. So I'll let you guys know when I got something. But I'm working on some of the gear, man. I'm trying. Let's see. With Melvin Goring, Jose Farron, with Melvin Goring falling out of favor in LA, do you think the Chiefs make a move for the 3 down back in the off season now that the price will go down due to this holdout in a bad season? I think it would be an interesting conversation. I like Melvin, and I liked him coming out of school. It's going to be about the price tag, because you got to pay Chris Jones if you want to keep him, or you got to franchise tag him. Either way, he's going to be super expensive, and you have the Mahomes contract coming down the pike. So you got to keep an eye out for that. If he's willing to play, Chiefs make the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl, if they win either of those games, it makes it even more enticing for free agents to come here. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think it's definitely a conversation they will explore, and I think they should. Especially with the way that Andy runs his team. He's not going to have to grind interior yards. He's not going to get pounded. He's going to be able to be in space more, and I think that's a good thing for Melvin Gordon. Jerry Cole, looking forward. Oh, at Ryan. Okay, I don't know what that meant. Sorry, Jerry. CJ Dow, what do you think of the chances of not re-signing Dan Sorensen and moving Fuller to safety? That's a good question. Until Fuller started playing these safety snaps, I was pretty certain he was not going to be back in Kansas City. I don't think Dan Sorensen is going to be worth his contract. I mean, he's 28 or 29 years old. And this is going to be his 3rd contract, so he's going to make more money. Someone's going to pay him. I don't think it can be the Chiefs. Again, with the Jones deal, and what's coming down the pike for Mahomes, that's just going to be tough. Plus, you're going to have to sign some new receivers. You're going to have to find a backup tight end. Travis Kelce is almost 30, folks, so that's significant as well. I don't know. I think it's an interesting possibility that you bring up, and maybe Fuller can be the safety moving forward. He certainly is not going to get the big payday that I expected him to. So maybe that works out. I don't know. And I'm still in the back of my mind have someday I'd like to see the Fuller brothers playing together in Chiefs red. So we'll see what happens. Scott Mesa, any news on the Wiley injury? It's an ankle. My guess is it's a high ankle that isn't severe, but it's going to bother him for a while. I know there's the shoulder too. I don't think that's what's really keeping him out. We'll see if he practices this week. I'm fine if he doesn't, because I want Wiz to play. But we're going to find out pretty quick. Brian Gooch, thanks for your donation. Honey Badger and Obi-Wan, I like that, and that's exactly where I'm going with the shirt. In the back, Frank and Jones up front. Defense is a couple of linebackers away from being absolutely scary. That's a very good point. I'm a big fan of Reggie. I don't know if he's back. Reggie is great on early downs, and he's better than people think at pass coverage. But he's the cheapest of the linebackers right now. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think they can get out of either the Hitch or the Damian Wilson contract without severe penalties in terms of cap space. So I can't see them really moving on either. So I think it's going to be real interesting to see what they do. You want to see them upgrade somebody. I think bang for the buck, Reggie's probably playing the best of the linebackers. I think the guy who's playing, he's absolutely needed is Hitchens, but he's very much overpaid for how he's performing to this point. So I'd love to see them upgrade in the middle, a true middle linebacker that can come down versus the run and cover as well. They showed Tremaine and his brothers Edmonds last night on the telecast. A guy like that, good size, great range, can come downhill, strong enough to beat guards. That's what you want, and I'd love to see them go get that. Very good question, Brian, or point. Okay, BK42, do you think the Honey Badger is the best offseason acquisition for this team. On the field, yes, so far he's a leader. He's becoming a voice of the franchise. You see him shouting other things out that the franchise is doing, the organization is doing around the town, that kind of thing. But this situation with Frank and his nerve injury, what we found out this week was that he was like 20% when the season started, and they were telling him not to play. That has a serious effect on how he's performed, and he's still been okay. So I'm going to say I'm going to wait to see another season from now when Frank's fully healthy for it as well. Good question. And I'd like to see more ladies around the channel. Thanks for joining. Nathan Roth, does buying a t-shirt or super chat help you out more? Let's see. When it comes down to it, the t-shirts actually help more. In terms of what I get. I split everything with YouTube because it's their platform, so they take half of any super chats or any of that stuff. So if you want to just help, that's the easiest way, is that the shirts actually come to me. So need someone. That's a good point, James. If anybody is on airport watch and you're just hanging out at KCI, let me know if Suggs shows up. Pono Kwai, good question. Is Okafor's days as a Chief done? I don't think so. I'd have to look at what the cut money is for the cap space, but I want to say when I looked at it earlier this season that it's more destructive to cut him than it is savings to keep him. You know what I mean? So I can double check that for you on Spot Track or Over the Cap, but I do think Okafor will be back because I don't think they save enough if they were to release him. Stephen Ellers, if we wind up being the third or fourth seed, which team do you think matches up the best for the Chiefs? This is going to be really interesting, and you guys aren't going to believe this. I want to play Buffalo or the Patriots in the divisional round. I don't want to play the Ravens until the AFC Championship. And I realize that would be a road game. If the Chiefs do manage, if the Bills beat the Patriots, the Chiefs win out, they get number 2. Which means they're out of the wild card round. They don't play until the divisional round, just like the Ravens. And if the Ravens were to stumble and lose that game, the Chiefs become the number 1 seed and they play everything else at home. So that's where I'm at. I think that would be a great scenario. Rob first, what do you think of Thornhill so far? I think he's doing pretty well. I think he's mostly living up to my expectations. He doesn't have quite the number of turnovers yet. I expected more at this point, but he's starting to come on. He was my top-rated safety in the draft. I had him ranked number 1 in athleticism and I believe number 2 in production. So he was the number 1 overall on my board. I had Adderley a close second, and I flip-flopped them most draft season, but Thornhill was my top guy on my board. Michael Willis, do the Chiefs need a running back to make a true playoff run? No. I think we covered that one before. Longmorn, how are you? I'm sure you have scotch. I just have beer, but cheers. Do you think that the safety's ability to cover speed is top shelf? It's getting there. Thornhill takes good angles better than he did earlier in the season. He's got those instincts. He understands how to be that deep safety, the last line of defense. And I think he's getting more comfortable. He's a quieter guy. He's more of a thinker, I think. I've never met him, but from what I've seen of him and what I've heard from his interviews and how he goes about things, that's how I feel about him. And while Honey Badger isn't the fastest guy, it's not like he's going to keep up with Hardman or Hill. He is very speedy. So between the two of them, I do feel like they can cover deep from the safety position pretty well. It's the corners that I worry about. Ward should have the speed to keep up with people, but you saw even this week he got beat deep. Breland definitely doesn't have the speed, and neither does Fuller. So Fenton doesn't either. So that's a problem. Mo Claiborne's ancient by standards. He can't run that fast anymore either. They need speed and size. They need a prototype corner. 6 foot to 6'2", 200 pounds, 4.4 speed or better. That's what they need. Great question, Longmorn. Cheers. Isaiah Cherez, I think that's how you say it. Do you think our offense will get back to performing at a high level? What do you think it will take for that to happen. I do feel like they will, and I feel like the way they played in the snow was really eye-opening. They looked better in the snow than they did the last 2 weeks, in my opinion, especially moving the ball, taking stabs, taking what's there. I thought Patrick looked better. I thought he looked more comfortable. And I don't know if it's the hand or what it was, but I do feel like that. The only concern that I have is they got to get better play from the O-line. I still feel like Wisniewski should be playing. I think that helps the run, and I think it definitely helps the pass. He's not as good a run blocker as he is a pass blocker anymore, but he's still better than what they've been doing lately. So I do think that will help this team. Thanks for your donation, by the way. I appreciate that, Isaiah. Jerry Cole, at the beginning of your questions. Oh, thanks, Jerry. Let everybody know. Question marks at the beginning helps me pick you out of the chat. Ian Miller Schultz, I like that. Thanks for your donation. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs not going after Jenkins with our current DB play? I really like how this secondary has been lately. I think that's what it comes down to. I think the Chiefs are pretty happy with it too. Earlier in the season, I thought that they should try to trade for Jenkins because he was better than how they were playing at the time or how I thought they were going to play in camp. Since then, I think they've about evened out. And I would have been okay if they had claimed him because I think if Mo can't go, I think he's another aging veteran that isn't as fast as he used to be. So I see Jenkins and Mo about the same. So I thought it would have been a bit of a replacement. They're more comfortable than I am, so I'm going to let it go. And they seem to be wanting to play this three safety dime even more. And Kendall Fuller's one of the guys. If they're going to do that, I'm comfortable with that too because I feel like they can run and cover better than they can with a classic safety in there. So I'm going to be okay with it. Great question. Let's see. Scott Meza, thanks for your donation, as always. I got to scroll a little bit because I passed something. Whew. Oh, I'm falling behind you guys. Good Lord, I'm behind. I'm sorry. With adding Suggs, does Neiman lose his spot? No. It'll be exchanged for Okafor. Okafor already went to IR, so yeah, it's not going to affect anybody else. Pono, main concern versus the Bears. How do we pick up blitz protection for Pat? You're going to have to keep the tight end or probably the back in a little bit more. That means Ware's going to play more. He's the best blocking back that they have. Khalil Mack's gotten Fisher a couple of times. He's gotten Schwartz a couple of times too. But Khalil Mack is not Von Miller. He doesn't have the speed rush. He is more of a power guy, and I feel like the Chiefs are better equipped to deal with him, but there will be chipping, and I think there has to be. Good question. Bruce, what would your game plan be against the Ravens? I'd place more zone. I'd spy him with somebody like Neiman that's got the best speed at the linebacker level, and then try to really attack the interior runs. Adam Higginbotham, I hope I said that right. Will Suggs even report? Not sure if you answered this already. I got in here late. No, that specific question hasn't been asked, and I honestly don't know. There's rumors in both directions. I just can't tell you. I will say this, and I said it on the podcast. If you guys want to check out Locked On Chiefs, you can download that because I talked with Chris about it and I talked with Matt Derrick about it. It just makes sense for him to report. He's an aging veteran who's been claimed. He can't play for anybody else. His choice, he has two choices, and they are A and B. A, play for the Chiefs, come in, get a feel for it, see if you like it. You don't have to do anything. You can leave. You can go retire if you want. But it's worth seeing. It's a team that has a chance to go to a Super Bowl. And I think if you're an aging guy who hasn't been playing as great as you have, and you get a chance to rest some and not be a 75% of the snaps guy, I think that's intriguing to you when you put it up against the possibility of getting to a Super Bowl. So I don't see any reason why he wouldn't, because the only other thing he can do is retire. He can't go play for anybody else. So it's A or B. I think he reports. That's just my gut feeling. I don't know the guy at all. Let's see, Scott Mizzy, your thoughts on special teams lately? I think they're settling down, but I think it's a lot of young guys and a lot of question marks. I don't know what's going on with them, to tell you the truth. Man, I'm way behind in the chat, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to skip a couple. Jerry, with Kelce and Mahomes getting back on track, do you think were they sandbagging? No, I think they really needed to get back on track. Maximo, thanks for your donation. I'm sure you have a question coming. I will go find it. Travis Clement Smith with Von Miller. Will Von Miller be a Chief next year? I'd love to see it, to tell you the truth. And no, he can't wear 58. It is retired. I know that he patterned his game after Derek Thomas. I'd love to see the speed rush opposite Frank Clark. there's nowhere near the money. So, I mean, he'd have to really want to be in KC. Vote Kawhi, what first round pick would you grab for a running back if you had a choice? I won't take a running back in the first round, period. The position is not worth it. You can find guys in the 7th or even undrafted like Darrell Williams, who I think can run just as good as first round running backs. Let's see. Maximo, there you are. Whatever happened to Dorian O'Daniel? He's in there. He's playing special teams. The staff has not really found a spot for him. He's too light to play their version of linebacker. He's lighter than Dan Sorensen, actually. And he's not fast enough to play the safety spot. Maybe they're going to try to retrain him for that, get him to drop some weight. That could be something. But I don't know. Chris Anderson, I was saying bang for the buck. It's Reggie. I think skill-wise, being able to do a little bit of everything, it's probably Hitch, but Hitch isn't performing up to his contract. Anthony Boyd, why do someone have so much belief in Damian? He hasn't done anything really this year. Also, Darwin runs better and is more aggressive. Also, Shady runs harder. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with Damian. He doesn't put his head down. He's not looking for contact. He's not a grinder. But he's quick. He's got great speed, and he catches the ball well. MD Van, no, they cannot pick up Kareem Hunt again. This franchise will not bring Kareem Hunt back. He's not going to be a Chief ever again. Holy, wow. 450 people in here tonight. Thank you, guys. For all of you that are new, welcome. Consider subscribing. We do a lot of stuff around here. Maximo, what's the odds of the Bills beating New England? 50-50 in my book. They can definitely do it. They're strong enough. They're explosive enough in the run game. It's comes down to, is Tre'Davious White going to play? They need him. And who's going to deal with Edelman? That's really the question mark for me. I think they can deal with N'Keal Harry. Dorsett, they demoted last week, so I don't even know that he's going to be, a factor. We'll have to find out. Marshall Smith, any thoughts on Kendall Fuller snaps against the Broncos? Like I said, he played more safety than ever. I think it was 16 total snaps, and I like that. I think he can help more there than he can at nickel corner. Chris Weichman, I think I said that right. What if the Chiefs have a shot at Isaiah Simmons? I haven't done any work on any of the college kids yet, so I'll get to the film once the Chiefs season is over. I know Dan from Chiefs Wire likes him. I'm going to talk to Dan sometime later tonight. Dan might even be in here. Dan, tell us what you think. He did a piece on him earlier in the week, and I'm all for that. I think he's from Clemson. Or was it Syracuse? I can't remember. Clemson linebackers generally are speedy and can play in this kind of system, so I'm generally okay with that, but I haven't even looked yet. It will take till the offseason, bud. Let's see. Drew Bishop, thanks for yours. I appreciate it. Right back at you. CJ Dial, D-line, what will we re-sign next year? Let's see. Noddy's under contract. Saunders is under contract. Jones will be probably a franchise tag. I think Pennell's got another year, but I got to double check that. And there could be more coming. So you might go out and I think Xavier's done, whether it's by release or by the end of his contract. I think they'll have to get somebody else. Justin Troba, do you think we will win all our games we have left? I think it's definitely possible. I don't think the Chiefs are as good, or the Bears are as good as they were. Bears are my mom's team, so I kind of root for them. It's Chiefs, Seahawks, Bears for me. No, Chiefs, Bears, Seahawks for me. That's the way I'll do it. Sorry, Ma. Maximo, any thoughts of Sammy Watkins or how he played against Denver? I thought he did some good things. He looked a little bit of explosive. I like that they tried to get him the ball. I think that's the big thing, is they tried to get him the ball, and I think that was evident in the first half. Eric Streeter, do you see any issues with the offensive line play calls in the red zone, settling for field goals? I think part of it was the conditions. I think we saw pitches and stuff the week or two before, and I think that's got to be more involved. The counter I showed you guys in the film room, that's got to be more involved. But those are all harder to run in the snow, so I think it was partially due to the conditions. I think they'll get back to that. Dwight Raleigh, do you think the defense will be good enough in the playoffs? I think they can be. They have to continue along the track that they're going, but I definitely think they can be. Maximo, any update on Xavier Williams? Not yet. He's practicing and he's eligible to return. He has another week, I think. But by Monday after the Bears game, he has to either be activated at the roster or he goes on IR for the year. Aaron Morrow, you are. My wife's converting because of Mahomes. You guys are doing a good job helping her. I don't know if she's watching tonight, but she's up the stairs with the kids. Nathan Roth, do you think the AFC? Who do you think the AFC playoff teams will be? Bills, New England, Chiefs, Ravens. I think Pittsburgh gets in. I think that'll be interesting in and of itself. And Texans. So that's what I do. Michael Willis, do you think we have a good chance of getting the number 2 seed? I think it's a 50-50 chance. If they can hold serve, it's all about the Bills and what they do this week, so keep an eye on them. Sean Mitchum, how are you? Nice to see you. How was the offensive line play yesterday? It was solid for playing in the snow, I'll tell you that. I thought Fisher did a good job. Obviously, Wiley is a little bit under par, so is Reeder. Not very happy with them. I thought LDT played better yesterday. Wiz only got like 6 snaps. I wish he got more because I think he can really help, but they're going a good way. But Sean, nice to see you. Glad you're here. We'll hook up at camp next year again. Let's see. Ace in the Coal. I like that name. Good job. Do you think he's going to show up? I assume you mean Suggs. I do think he is. That's just my gut. I'm not sure, though. Let's see. Paul Emmert. Are the Chiefs more dangerous in play action with 12 personnel versus 11? I think it's a coin flip. The only problem is I don't think Blake Bell puts any fear into anybody, so that's a little bit more difficult. If they had a true number 2 receiving option at tight end, I think play action in 12 would be better. I'd prefer to see more 12. That's 1 running back, 2 tight ends, folks. That's what I would like to see more. It definitely lets you run out of it more, too. Rick Buddy, did you see my paid comment from way earlier? No, I didn't, Rick. I'm sorry. Say something again. I am behind as usual. What were Watkins' numbers for the game? I think it was 3 catches on 4 targets for 47 yards, I believe, Keith Welch. And Rick Buddy, I'm going to do a search just to make sure. Aaron, would you repeat his question at the bottom of the chat for me if you get a chance? Thanks, bud. Justin Trobaugh, if we play the Ravens again, what's the score prediction going to be? 50 plus or more? Definitely 50 plus. I think it's going to be like a 34-33 game kind of thing. BK42, do you think Mahomes may pull a Brady and take less so they can continue to get him more weapons? I think he's open to it. I think he's that kind of guy. I just don't know. Lee Steinberg's his agent, so I don't know that he's going to allow that to really happen. So we'll find out. Kirk Shea, Patrick looked back to form yesterday. I agree with that, or at least close, but concerned for the red zone. What are your thoughts? I think yesterday was a game in and of itself. I think they are back getting closer to being on track. I think they can run better without the snow. I think we'll know more this week. Gary Holland, does Kelce take his new contract when it comes so he can stay with Mahomes? I think he might, man. I just think he might. That's a very good question. Marshall Smith, 3 players of significance that you expect the Chiefs to lose after the season. Good question. I don't know. Watkins, I don't think they're going to get rid of Hitchens. Sorensen, maybe Fuller. That's about it. Zach Scott, what do you think will happen to Jones? I think he's getting the franchise tag. Steven Concepcion, why is it so difficult to coach tackling the way that Marty used to do it? The Ravens seem to still play with that type of mindset. It's about time, and it's about where your defenders came from. They don't teach tackling in college anymore. So when you get guys, you got to coach them up. And the CBA right now doesn't let you really do much in terms of practice reps, practice hours. So it's really difficult. So you really got to find a guy that can tackle well when he comes from college. And that really sets you up for success. That's the key in recruiting for me. And honestly, that's a big part of how I rank the linebackers on my draft board, because I get all the production analytics about missed tackles and everything. And that is, I work that into my formulations quite a bit. Good question, Stephen. Jake Alleg, how scary was the Ward Thornhill collision? Do you think that anything could come from it, like a nagging type thing? No, it was a little bit concerning. I hate to see it happen to Thornhill because he's been really, really coming on lately. I don't know. You can always have something with a concussion type thing. You always have to worry about that, but I'm not terribly concerned this time. If he misses any practice, we'll have to revisit that. Curtis Douglas, when is your Obi-Wan t-shirt coming out? I'm trying to get it back from the designer. They got a tweak because I'm not a Photoshop guy. I can do a little bit, but I got to have somebody clean it all up. So I'm hoping to have it before Christmas. It may not be, so we'll find out. But I will definitely shout it from the rooftops when I get it, and I'll probably get myself one so you guys can see it. Bubba Hugs Suggs is retiring. Is that a report, or are you just giving me your opinion? I hadn't seen that yet, but obviously I've been doing this for an hour. So Terrell tweeted his okay. Thanks, Bubba. I appreciate that. Okay, guys, I'm gonna skip to falling behind. CJ, thanks for your donation. I appreciate it. Thoughts on Byron Jones? I think BK Confidential. Thoughts on Byron Jones? I think you mean Byron with the Cowboys. Is it? I think he's going to be a free agent. I think he's somebody that they could look at definitely. Mo Money. What's Suggs going to wear? I have no idea. Guys are now saying that he's tweeted he's going to retire. Tommy Sparks. Okay, yeah. That's interesting. If he does choose to retire, I'm going to be surprised by that. You never know. Maybe he's just done. Maybe he asked for his release. Maybe he doesn't want to play anymore. Like I said, I don't know him. I don't even know who he's represented by. But yeah, that's really interesting if he chooses not to play. Longmorn, tonight I'm drinking Boulevard Rye on Rye. That's a really good beer. That is a great one. If you guys are in Kansas City and you can get Rye on Rye, I think it's a yellow 4-pack, 6-pack, whatever it is, the paper container that it's in when you get in the store. That's a great beer. A little bit of spice, aged well. I love that one. I can't get it in Colorado very often. So when I go home, in fact, my brother's coming out next week. I'm hoping he's going to bring me some. Let's see. Nathan Roth, off-topic question. Do you think Alex Smith will ever play again? I don't. I hope that he can walk right again. So good for him. Don't bother trying to play again, Alex. You've had a great career. General Sports Talk. Do you think Steven Wisniewski should be the starting center? Yes. I'll take Steven Wisniewski starting at center or left guard. Your choice. Man. Bubba Bug, thank you for pointing that out. I'm going to be interested to see if that's true. I don't know. Okay. Aaron, boot everybody talking about politics. I don't want any politics in here, especially anything about Epstein or anything like that. So just kick them out. In fact, I'll just do it right now because it's right in front of me. So gone. Not dealing with that, people. We're going to get a lot of people jumping in here now because it's a popular stream. So don't let it bother you. Just keep on trucking. Gary Holland, Ryan, does Hill return for the playoffs? I'm going to have to double check. I don't know the status of it. When I started here, I hadn't seen a report about it. I will get back to you. MD Van, yeah, that's what Bubba had said earlier. Man, if Suggs is really retiring, okay, more power to him. He's got to do what's right for him. His health is paramount in this whole equation. So if that's how he feels he has to go, then okay. And I think that's what it's got to be, because if he is a guy that wants to play, I don't see why he wouldn't want to play in Kansas City with a chance to go to another championship, another Super Bowl possibility. So that's just what I think. Yeah, I'm playing catch up. Sorry, guys. Sorry about for the political stuff. I am apolitical. I can't stand them. I say boot everybody out after 2 terms, period. Danilo. Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you. I'll link it on Twitter, Dan. No problem. But folks, you can just go to Chiefs Wire and look Isaiah Simmons. You'll find Dan's article. Let's see here. Okay, got a little sideways. Now I'm getting back to it here. I think we're past the troll section. Too much pain. Any chances Chiefs don't get Mahomes extension in the offseason? Yeah, there's a chance. They still have a 5th-year option, and I don't know that it's. I think they have a really good relationship, so I don't think, like, if you choose to use the 5th-year option and keep him cheap for another season, I don't think that's going to, like, sour the relationship or anything like that. He's going to get his $200 million contract eventually, and I think he knows it. Honestly, waiting another year probably just means a bigger payday. So that's a good question, though. Yeah, we're going to hit 500 if we get lucky here, folks. I'm glad you guys noticed that because I don't pay attention to the numbers enough. Andre Berdiga, do you think that we should utilize Thompson more? In short yardage, definitely. And between the tackles, yeah, I'd like to see him get more. I'm more comfortable with him running the ball than I am with him pass protecting. So I still don't think he should be a third down back, but I do want to see him carry the rock a little bit more. I think he's got something to him. And Danilo DeJulio, folks, over at Chiefs Wire, make sure you check him out. His question, do you know if Fenton or Claiborne are close to returning? I heard Fenton was at practice, but he didn't participate, so that kind of leads me to believe that maybe he can participate this week. We'll have to see. Hopefully one of them is close. I'd like to see them have Fenton in particular needs the reps, so I'd like to see him be on the field more this week. Dylan Hale, what scares you more in the playoffs, the Ravens or some of the powerhouses in the NFC? I'm not too worried about any of them, to tell you the truth. I don't see anybody out there, including the Niners, that the Chiefs can't beat. I'm just not that worried about it. It's about matchups. It's about doing the things that you can do to attack a certain team, and I think the Chiefs have enough tools to attack anybody in the playoff field. Not a problem. Let's see who's left. Okay, scrolling. Yeah, Aaron Merrill. Why would Suggs not want to try for another ring? I'm not sure. That's a good question. Oh, Curtis, thanks for checking that. Okay, so maybe Suggs has not tweeted out that he is retiring. We'll find out. Aaron, thank you for that. Rick, buddy, here's your question. I'm sorry I missed your donation before. I really appreciate it. Let's get your question right now because Aaron did me a favor and found it. Thanks, Aaron. This is from Rick, buddy, you guys. Do you think Andy has installed and practiced plays for the offense, waiting to unleash them on the NFL during the playoffs to show the full fury of the Chiefs are capable of? I like the way you put that, full fury. I don't think that he's waited specifically for the playoffs, but I do think that he is holding things back for specific teams. I don't think we saw everything that he plans on using against the Patriots. I think he gave us a little bit. I think he was up enough that he kind of held some back. He's got tricks up his sleeve, I think, specifically for the Patriots and the Texans, who I think have given the Chiefs a couple of hiccups here and there. So I do think that he has designed some things that we haven't seen yet in order to attack those specific defenses. Ryan Golden Paydirt says, got to bring up Elijah McGuire ASAP. He's better than Ware and stronger. Okay. I like what I saw from him earlier preseason, so I'm okay with that. Andy, is he hiding? Yeah, Scott Meza, is he hiding those plays? Yeah, I think he's got tricks up his sleeve. That's the way I'll put it. Okay. Thanks, Dan. So Suggs has not said he's retiring. So okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Let's see. Stevie Keys, thanks for your donation. I know you asked questions. I'll find one in here for you. We're approaching the end here, folks. I got to call it at an hour, so we'll get here close. Gary Holland, does Hill return kicks in the playoffs? Possibly. I think that's more of a situational thing. If they need him to, if they feel they need a lift or they're behind, maybe. Lorenzo Stabler, thanks for your donation. Do you think Hardman will get more snaps and have a bigger role in the playoffs, seeing Robinson and Watkins haven't really produced? I think he's a target of opportunity is the way that I put it. I feel like he's going to be out there and it's going to be matchup dependent. Next year, I think you will see him slide into a more established role with specific plays that are meant to go to him. Great question, Lorenzo. Thanks for asking it. Aaron, you're doing a great job. Everybody give Aaron Morrow a clap, will you? I really appreciate that. You are kicking butt, dude. Helping me so much. Oh, I wish I could do something in the chat because I'm not very good at doing it. Okay, so crush that. Okay, let's get back to the questions. David Johnson next year. I don't think so. I think David Johnson, the running back, is a little bit more advanced in age, shall we say, than Andy wants to go. I think he's more apt for a guy that he doesn't know to bring in youth rather than anything else. That's my gut feeling. Let's see. Okay, 7-Eleven. Who are the biggest names of the Chiefs that are least likely to get re-signed the next couple of years? I think Hitch will play out his contract, and then he'll be gone. If he continues not to live up to it, he might get out a year early. I think Watkins is going to be hard-pressed. I think Watkins could return if he restructures his contract and takes a pay cut. And I'm fine with that. Natalie Eggleston, yes, they did claim Suggs. Don't know if he's going to report or not. That's the question. Shannon Chavez, is Emmanuel Ogbah going to be back for the playoffs? No. He went to IR. He is not designated to return. They brought back Henny, and then they brought back Xavier Williams, or they've acted him in order to bring him back. So Ogbah can't come back. Let's see. Maximo, do you see Mahomes resting the last game against the Chargers? It's a possibility. I know the competitor in Mahomes will not want to, but that could happen. I just don't know. Chris Smith, looking ahead, a lot of positions are starting to look deep. However, I feel a true stud RB has not been seen in KC since Hunt. Yeah, that's fair. Derrick Henry or other pickups via the draft. I would lean towards the draft. I don't think you want to spend money on a second contract running back in this league. Not now. Not for what Andy wants to do with him, because that's a whole lot of money for guys that Andy's not going to run anyway. So I think it's going to be low free agents like we've seen over the years, and some youth in the draft. Good question. Brandon Patterson, what are the chances that we make AFC Championship game? Right now, I'd put it at about 40%. They got to get some things together. And I do believe that it's going to be Patriots and Ravens that they have to beat to do it. Scott Mesa, can Sorensen be trade value? I don't think so, especially now knowing that he's just got a couple of regular season games left on his contract. So no one's going to give anything up for him. You can't trade him now, and I think his contract expires this year, so that's over. Casey K says there was a big mistake not claiming Jenkins. Okay. I mean, any help can help, right? Dean 3121, would you have rather had Jenkins over Suggs? Not necessarily. It's either or for me. I don't think he could have gotten both, and I think it went the way the Chiefs that they wanted it to, So I think that they're happier with their current secondary than they were with their pass rush without Okafor. Having lost Ogbah and Speaks already, I think they're a little more worried about that. Okay, we're getting down to the end, folks. I finally caught up. I'm at the end of the conversation. That's awesome. I just want to say thank you before we sign off. Big thank you to Aaron for doing the mod thing. Awesome, dude. Very much appreciate that. Last question is from, last two questions here. Adam Higginbotham, do you think another year in the system could boost Pringle to a significant role in the offense? I think he could be the 4 next season. So, yeah, I definitely think that. Brandon Patterson, what are your thoughts on Mahomes' health? Okay. Hang on. Mahomes' health leading into the playoff. I think he's getting close to being back to 90%. I think he's probably 80-ish. We'll see what happens. Scott Mazo, will Veach bring Peterson and the Badger together? I don't know. I don't know what's left on Pat's contract, and I don't think they're going to trade him. If they didn't do it this year, I don't know why they'd wait a year for him to get older and then trade him. So, last donation. Thank you, Brandon Bentley. We definitely need a tight end too, but Bell has played well for the last few weeks. What round should we draft one? Who should we try to trade for in the offseason? I don't think you want to trade for a tight end. I think there's going to be a couple of free agents out there that could be interesting. I would take a tight end in the 3rd round possibly, because I think you can find a wide receiver in the 2nd that gives you another weapon. So tight end, I'm waiting for probably 3rd round. That's what I think, Brandon. Thanks for your donation. Thank everybody who donated. Thank Aaron for doing all the work, man. You're awesome. Testicular tactics? No, don't bring back John Dorsey. Do you see what's going on in Cleveland? Lord, no. Great night tonight. Tons of great questions. Tons of people in here. Spread the word. Thank you, guys. I'll have film room for you later this week. I'll try to do a little bit of thing maybe on Suggs if I get a chance. You guys rock. I really appreciate all the help, and I'll try to get the shirts up and out as soon as I can. You guys have a good night, and I'll talk to you later.